Large tracts of Australia have had a pretty dry start to the year, particularly across huge portions of Western Australia, South Australia, but particularly in southern Queensland and northern New South Wales. Large areas have seen barely any rainfall so far this year. Roma, for instance, has just recorded 0.6 millimetres in the gauge since the start of the year. So it's been exceptionally tough for quite a few farmers across the region, and we're looking at another fairly dry week for a large portion of the country. There's just a few regions where we're expecting more than usual rainfall. Now, at the moment, the focus is along the New South Wales coastline. It's been pretty dry there for some time, but we are going to see that increase in showering activity, particularly as we move through Thursday for the Hunter and the mid-north coast. And look at that. There is Tropical Cyclone Oma. There's a chance it'll be coming pretty close to the coast. This is just one model example. Other models stay further away from the coast than this example, which comes right up and across southeastern parts of Queensland, which is definitely a possibility now, according to the forecast. And so we're going to keep a close eye on that. But either we'll see heavy rain pushing into southeastern and central Queensland, or it'll be barely anything at all, depending on the path of that system. So we'll be watching that pretty closely. But some people will be pretty excited to see that kind of rainfall moving through, because it's been a very dry start to the year over the inland areas in that region. Now, in terms of the totals day by day, so across Wednesday, you can see focus there from central parts of the New South Wales coast and a little bit up into northern inland New South Wales, with thunderstorms in some of those areas on the northern edge, potentially some severe. Into Thursday, we'll have further showering activity, particularly for the Hunter and the mid-north coast, with 10 to 20 millimetres fairly widespread in that region. Some places could see even more than that on the coast, and that will start to push up into southeastern Queensland from Friday. And from the weekend, either we'll start to see this kind of heavy rainfall pushing in, or we won't. We'll have to wait and see, but it's now looking a fair bit more likely than it was in previous days, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that. So totals for the week, now the most likely situation is for upwards of 100, maybe 150, even 200 millimetres is a possibility for parts of southeastern Queensland, and down into northern New South Wales we'll also see a fair bit of rainfall too.
Looking ahead to our very last weekend of summer, we've got a high pressure system moving across into the southeast of the country. We're keeping a close eye on Tropical Cyclone Oma. At this stage, it could head to the coast. A lot of model discrepancy there, but nevertheless, we are looking at showers along parts of the eastern seaboard, heading up across South Australia this weekend. We could see mid-30s, particularly on Sunday for places like the lower southeastern corner, and quite hot and dry across western parts of the country as well. Perth, 27 degrees. And again, we'll be watching out for wild winds and swells across the southeast. Showers, though, for the coastal regions, including Sydney, 24 degrees, a little bit below the average. And then as we head into Sunday, we've got a similar temperature for places like Sydney, warming up across the southeast. Adelaide, 37 degrees, and showers and storms for the top end of the territory, including Darwin.
Close to 30 homes have been destroyed across northern New South Wales from bushfires over the past week. The largest of those fires is the Walangara fire right near the Queensland border. This fire has burnt through more than 40,000 hectares. It's roughly the size of the Gold Coast. Also, we have fires burning just south of Inverell and also at Tabulum, which is just to the east of the Walangara fire. And because they're so large, they are still burning and not completely controlled, and we have not seen rainfall over the past week, less than a millimetre for most of the country, and as a result, the vegetation index remains dry. That's indicated by the brown and the yellow shading. There's only a few parts of the east coast that have green vegetation right now, so given the right weather conditions, there's still the risk of major fires heading forward into the autumn. Here's the forecast temperatures today. Very hot heatwave conditions through the northwest, the central interior, towards eastern Queensland. That dark red shows temperatures over 40 degrees. We do have a change coming through. Thankfully, unlike last week, this change will not generate strong winds. So the fire dangers are elevated, but they're not severe or extreme. They're forecast to be very high, the yellow, through northeast New South Wales today, including across the fire zone, and through southern and central Queensland. When the fire dangers are very high, they're fast moving, they're hard to control, but they're not unpredictable, which is what you see when the fire dangers are extreme. And you only see spot fires just right near the fire front. They don't blow from embers a few kilometres ahead of the main fire front. The fire danger is also elevated through the northwest pocket of WA. We're expecting slightly cooler conditions on Wednesday for northern New South Wales as that trough moves north, bringing a cooler southerly. It's still climbing over 35 though for the northern inland part of the state, and the fire danger is still very high for those districts and again for central and southern Queensland. Severe fire dangers for some northwest parts of WA. Finally, having a look at the temperatures on Thursday, cooler again through northern New South Wales with winds coming up from the southeast. That'll also bring some slightly more humid air from the Tasman Sea. So the fire dangers are dropping for most areas, but just on the western side of the ranges, not across the fire zone. The fire dangers will be very high. Heatwave continues on Thursday for central and some southern parts of Queensland, and again we'll have elevated fire dangers for Western Australia, although temperatures will be cooling along the west coast later in the week.